With the recent news of Donald Trump's looming indictment, we've seen Trump's allies attack prosecutors in all sorts of ways. But one attack in particular stood out to me. On Thursday, Boris Epshteyn said that woke radical DAs in New York and Atlanta are to blame for Trump's legal problems. Yes, you heard that correctly. Woke DAs are to blame here. That attack stood out because it seems that blaming woke politics for problems big and small has become a one-size-fits-all response for Republicans lately. Take, for example, the news this past week of the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank, the largest bank failure since the 2008 financial crisis. It was a big deal, and it's a complicated issue, one that we could probably devote an entire show to. But for some Republicans, the real problem had no connection at all to any economic policies at all.
This is really the first bank failure that was caused by adherence to woke beliefs and policies.
They were one of the most woke banks.
Lord knows what other left-wing romping was going on in these woke banks.
This bank, they're so concerned with DEI and politics and all kinds of stuff. I think that really diverted from them focusing on their core mission.
So blaming the wokes or wokeness or wokeism has become a knee-jerk reaction for Republicans on any issue. Clearly, the term itself is a little bit ambiguous and has been subject to a lot of interpretation. But many Republicans have co-opted woke and increasingly used it to rally their base against their political opponents. In a decidedly unscientific analysis, we found that mentions of the term woke in Fox News articles skyrocketed just after Joe Biden became president. Imagine that. But now that the presidential primary process is heating up a bit, Republicans have gone all in on their anti-wokeness. They have elevated the supposed threat to such great heights, you'd hardly know this country faced any other problems at all. Just listen to some of the declared and presumptive Republican candidates for president.
American freedom is under attack as never before.
It's in the classroom, the boardroom, and the back rooms of government.
The poisonous lie of equity, wokeness, and identity politics.
This woke mind virus, woke tyranny.
Big media, big government, even big business have locked arms to advance a pernicious woke agenda designed to control the American people.
You can't just say, let it go, because then we're going to be living under an oppressive wokeocracy.
Woke supremacy is as bad as white supremacy.
Wokeness is a virus more dangerous than any pandemic, hands down.
An oppressive wokeocracy. For Republicans, wokeness is public enemy number one. By the sound of it, there is simply no greater threat to American liberty. Whether or not they actually believe it, they clearly think it's a winning message ahead of 2024. And it makes you think, are they onto something? Should I be freaking out about how right-wing Republicans are co-opting woke and wokeism? My gut here is no. You don't need to be too worried about their war on woke, because the Republican crusade against wokeness may not be as potent of a campaign issue as they may hope. And here's why. Most people don't think of the term woke in the way that Republicans would like them to. It's simply not the boogeyman they'd have you believe. A USA Today poll found that a majority of Americans, 56%, think of woke to mean being informed, educated, and aware of social injustices. That sounds pretty good, as opposed to being overly politically correct. Even in Florida, where Governor Ron DeSantis says woke goes to die, voters did not have a clear idea of what woke is supposed to mean. And more tellingly, many dislike their governor's woke-centered rhetoric. In January, Axios reported in a focus group in that state with voters who had switched from Trump in 2016 to Biden in 2020. In other words, these are exactly the kind of voters Republicans will need to win back in 2024. And for most of them, the anti-woke message fell pretty flat.
What is meant by the term woke? W-O-K-E. If you hear that somebody is woke, Rosario, I see you smiling. Try and give me a workable definition of what a woke person is.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
Katie, when you hear the term, it doesn't have any resonance for you.
I just heard it used so many different ways. I honestly kind of just ignore it, to be honest.
I like DeSantis and I like a lot of his policies, but it just seems like, though, he shouldn't go so heavy on the woke. Like, seems like it's almost like he's fighting against like an invisible boogeyman.
Pandering to his base, but it's just a little bit too much.
Again, those are former Trump voters who switched to Biden in 2020. They're completely up for grabs in 2024. And if the Republican anti-woke message is supposed to resonate with anyone, it's them. But in a recent interview, it was even too difficult for at least one conservative commentator to define what woke actually even means. Conservative author Bethany Mandel has written a book that covers this exact subject. But here's what happened when she was put on the spot.
Would you mind defining woke? Because it's come up a couple times, and I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
So, I mean, woke is sort of the idea that this is going to be one of those moments that goes viral. I mean, woke is something that's very hard to define, and we've spent an entire chapter defining it. It is sort of the understanding that we need to totally reimagine and redo society in order to create hierarchies of oppression. It's hard to explain in a 15-second soundbite.
It's hard to explain. Just 2 cents from someone who has worked a few years in communications. If you can't explain it and people don't understand it in 15 seconds, it may not be the winning message you think it is. So everyone out there, it sounds like you can let your woke flag fly.